we were talking about before the stream. Uh, Billy Kaplan is Jewish. His family
Yeah.
in which he's reincarnated is Jewish. Um, but Marvel Comics only remembers he's Jewish once a year in
Yeah.
Hanukkah, where they put him on the cover and say, "Hey, look, Jewish character, Happy Hanukkah, move on."
Yeah, well, that's Marvel has this. People may notice that comics fans are a little jumpy.
Yeah.
And so anything that smacks of culture, they're a little afraid to do. And that's why I was really surprised that I was surprised that they went all in with Moon Knight, who is also a Jewish character. But that was one scene. It was a Shiva in one scene. If you wanted to just close your eyes and pretend it's just a Christian funeral, you could, right?
Yes.
Whereas with Billy, it's a bar mitzvah. Like it was an extended sequence. And yes, there are things like fortune tellers at bar mitzvahs. Bar mitzvahs are these very strange things where most people after their bar mitzvah, they do their absolute best to not step in a synagogue until they're married, or someone else is getting married, or there's another bar mitzvah. It's just this being connected to the past. The religious stuff um isn't a big thing. They did a similar thing on The Boys with the Mrs. Maisel bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. That's right.
Yes.
They're themed. So his family clearly thought his interest in things like tarot and stuff like that was just, oh, it's a cute little thing. I mean, his parents were pretty accepting of their son based on that bedroom. Wow, is that gay teen goals? Everything.
Right?
Like so much Wizard of Oz and an Evanescence poster. And there were so many Easter eggs. I'd have to slow it down frame by frame to catch everything. But I'm like, this is the gayest boy bedroom I have ever seen on TV.
They went full twink
Yo,
with his bedroom. Yeah. I
yeah,
love it.
it was like he's not just gay, he's gay. And
Yes, a big pink neon glitter
oh
sign
yeah,
above him.
oh yeah. And I mean, casting Joe Locke kind of telegraphed that. I think that's one thing they did really well is nobody could walk into that show not knowing what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's going to be witches and gay people.
Yeah, I have a horrible joke that I can't say anymore because it involves an offensive term, but it involves a terminology for women who hang out with gay men and another name for a witch, as in hag. So it was Hagatha all along.
Yes.
Oh,
I get
okay.
it.
Um, it was Fagatha Hagatha all along. There we go. It's far enough away from the term. And believe it or not, the word for bird in Yiddish, I believe, is faggy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um, and then the ironically, there's a pet name. If you want to do a diminutive in Yiddish, it's agala. So
Oh,
like
wow.
you add a la, so like Maidala is like princess and all that stuff. So some people who know people named Faggy, it was Fagala. You don't say that anymore.
Okay, you know what? What do you want to bet? Someone or several people in the production are in on the joke.
Oh, they definitely are. Nothing in
Yes.
that show was not deliberate. They knew
Just
exact.
like
Yeah,
yes, just like
yeah.
with the Jennifer Kale stuff. Like yes, this is a script, but also the writers has at least one, if not several, girls she went to high school with that are now involved in some kind of multi-level marketing stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
And she's yeah.
they did deep dive into not just witchcraft, but also cons in women's
Yes.
spaces. I mean, the candles. Everybody just thought of Gwyneth Paltrow's, vagina scented candles in that scene. They didn't go anywhere near it. It was just so coded that, everybody immediately hates Jennifer and yet also feels sorry for her in equal measures. And it's a brilliant character setup because you end up really liking her. I mean, she
Yes.
has the most arc in the whole thing. And they do show that at least she was a real person. So it looks like the Hex looks the same way that WandaVision did, that they're real people who got drawn in.
Okay, we have opinions about that.
Okay.
Okay, so do you wanna go first or do I go first? You go
Yeah.
first.
Well, okay. So the Hex, the road wasn't real. We know that. And that explains
Oh
why
yes.
Agatha is so what through the whole thing. Uh, but WandaVision, they were real people who got, the town of Westview got pulled into the Hex and they were being mind controlled.
Mhm.
But in this case, I mean, Jennifer Kale was somebody that Billy just knew from the TV.
Yes.
Um, uh, Alice he was a fan of her mother. So he was doing fan fiction on that one, unless he found out who her mother was or he just made that her mother. It's hard to say how much of it is fantasy and how much of it is reality. It's kind of like the Joker movie in that way. You have to decide for yourself um what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
And so it begs the big question, and Marvel has said the characters that die actually do die. But then you have death being kind of ish on this show. I do like Death's choices in Terrible Partner in Agatha All Along better than in the comics. I mean, Agatha objectively better than Thanos. What? But for people who don't know, that was Thanos's original motivation. He killed a bunch of people because he was in love with death.
He was a
And
dead.
yeah, and Aileen, I actually prefer that to the Malthusian paradox stuff they went
Yes.
with in Infinity War. Was that the name of it? Yeah, Infinity War and
Yes.
Endgame. Yeah. So, yeah, it is a bit nobody knows for sure. There are clues that it wasn't all just Billy's hex because Death's in it, or Rio, as the character was named. Rio Vidal, which, what a lovely coded name, right?
Right.
What a great name. But he wouldn't have known about her. So,
Precisely.
and because and that's why people who say they could have cut the last episode, that's an important part of the last episode that she was there.
Yeah, it was the series is called Agatha All Along. To me, that was, a very important episode.
Yeah, I normally hate the motivation, mom as motivation, and all
Me too,
I
but I
hate
like this one.
it made sense, but
Yes.
also you'll notice that her scenes with Rio happen when Billy's not around and there's a different tone to them. I noticed as well I was watching before the big reveal that there's something different about these scenes. It's almost like they're, when you LARP, you put your fist on your head, go ook, and you can talk out of character.
Yes.
Yeah, it was almost like that. So seeing her in that last scene, she wasn't, and I think that's why she was literally cutting through the backdrop in scenes that she was invading the hex. She wasn't part of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And is Billy Billy's not controlling the hex the same way Wanda didn't control the hex.
Yeah,
So
his
it,
powers are different.
right. And so it is still Agatha driving the whole thing the same way she did in WandaVision. Yeah, she's just reacting, but
Yes.
she's actually managing to influence the unreality. It's actually a spectacular WandaVision sequel in that way.
Okay, so I have some, okay, a lot of them are similar, a lot of them are different.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, here we go. Uh, yes, obviously that is the spoiler. The Witch's Road was Billy's head. Um, Here's what we differ. Because of how his powers work, we can because again, Kate Bishop tells him, okay, so if your powers are basically repeating yourself something until you believe it's true and then it becomes true, it's like you are manifesting like a Wiccan.
Right.
That is where it comes from. So basically, Billy's powers are magic in a ways that if he believes something,
It
it's real,
happens. Right.
it happens. He has to enunciate it. He has to say that he wants it for it to happen. But that is basically is God level powers.
Now, do you think he knew that at the beginning of Agatha All Along? Or is
No,
that just you knowing that, okay, that we're on the same page there? Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
If we are going to take the series as true, like the series is not lying to us. The witches are all real. Not only are they characters that come from the comic,
Right.
they exist way before Billy was born, either as Billy Kaplan or Billy Maximoff.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think
Lydia,
I think too
yeah,
he was merging internet research he did with real life people to make it happen. So the the person from Renaissance Italy was not the fortune teller at his bar mitzvah. He merged them for the purposes of the story.
okay, this is where we differ.
Okay.
Um, I think they're real witches, like they existed before Billy. There's also the element of destiny and fate.
Well, that's a good
Uh,
point because Agatha made the list, didn't she?
Precisely.
And it only
Uh,
works if they're real witches. That's a good point.
and if you go for the destiny angle, Lydia was always destined to be in the coven because when she was as a small child, a teenager, with
Right.
her grandmother, her
Right.
future self had already traveled into her mind to speak to her.
Yes, that part was okay. As much as anything's clear on that show, that part was clear.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she's a witch from a family of witches. She was always destined to be there. She was always destined to be the one to guide Billy and to protect him. And the protection part is especially crucial because
Right.
you're right. Rio is dead,
Yeah.
and more importantly, when Billy goes to Agatha's house and he sees Agatha talking, he sees Agatha talking to herself.
Right.
He doesn't see Rio,
Right.
and he doesn't see Rio because he, as a reincarnated boy, is protected from
Right.
Rio by
Yeah.
Lilia.
They dealt with that at the end that somehow he got out of the natural order of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, if Billy had believed he could have vanquished death, he would have.
Right.
But Agatha told him he can't. So good luck, universe.
Well,
Then
you
this
also
person.
need they've learned don't kill a good antagonist.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can't introduce death and make her a one-off. That would just be too much of a bummer. I'm glad they kept her around.
Me too. We were joking on the Discord that my God, that will go out with everyone except
Thanos.
Thanos.
That was pretty funny.
And yeah, it is like good for her.
Okay, she's got some lousy taste in partners, though. Like, well, okay, they have a high body count, so I guess they're
Yes.
perfect for her. But yeah, wow. I mean, I- I'll save the Agatha's a terrible person. Keep going on about your hex theory.
Okay, Billy made the heads in the way that he believed it was real, and he did say it out loud to Agatha, take me to the witch's road.
Yeah.
And because he believes the witch's road is real, and Agatha can take him there when they do the little chanting, the little
Yep.
holy hands and song, the door opens.
Right.
So that was Billy manifesting.
Oh yeah,
The witch's road.
she was clearly not in control when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The moment Agatha realizes that, oh shit,
Yeah.
it actually happened.
Yeah.
That's when she immediately goes, ha. And that is the moment she closes, okay, this kid is Wanda Maximoff's kid. That means this road is real because he made it real.
Right.
That means that as far as he believes that the road is real, at the end, I'm going to get powers.
Do you think she knew in that moment? Because there was that scene with her and Rio where she said, he's not your son.
I think she suspected.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
think she knows for sure until Rio tells her.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of I mean, the one thing I like about the show is that they don't cloud everything in secrecy and the way they did in WandaVision. They don't stretch anything out. So I agree with that she never really thought it was Nicholas. It was
Yes.
almost like that faint hope that was torturing
Yes,
her.
that is the word. She didn't think, she hoped.
Yeah. Yeah. She knew it probably was unlikely, but is it like maybe,
Yes.
because Agatha's a survivor despite all the horrible things that the world has done to her.
Yes.
But she's done back. But okay, so keep going. What do you think
Okay,
the deal is with Alice?
Alice Wu?
Yeah.
Okay. Alice is a generational witch
Right.
who has a curse on her. In the
Right.
comics, it's because of a demon. I think they say it is a demon in the show.
Yes, they did.
They don't go into detail, but it's basically it has killed every woman in her family.
Yeah.
She is next.
Oh, you see the demon.
You see the demon. They did call him a demon. That's right. She, like Lilia, I think she is real. They basically just got lucky slash unlucky to be in the vicinity because, again, destiny.
Right. Well, and Agatha knew who they were. Well, she knew who Jen was because she bound her. Maybe she bound the others too.
Only Jennifer. Alice is just, in the mindset that her course is not a real course. It's just her being negative Nancy and ruining everything on her life. That's why she's so relieved when she finds out, oh my God, it is really a course. It's not my fault.
Right. And that was another thing that, unless Billy pulled it from the internet somewhere, that was something he couldn't have known about.
No, and he not only has to believe, he has to especially manifest it. So the only thing he did was to make the road real. And because he doesn't actually know what's in the road, because the road is a con,
right?
The magic, the universe's energy solved that by pulling from his memory and read what he believes is to be the road.
And now I've got the Prince of Egypt song going through my head.
Yeah, and you see Agatha kind of, but not really directing him while they're on the road.
Yeah.
They go to the first trial, and he says, "Oh well, I guess we're going to do this here, and this is what is going to happen." And Agatha says, "Yep, yeah, that is how it works. That is, yes, there's one trial for each one of us." And lo and behold, they walk, and the trial
Yeah.
appears.
Yeah, she's making it all up because of course they'd never gotten that far before.
And that is why when the time comes and there's the final trial, it just doesn't appear because
Right.
Billy doesn't know what is going to happen. He doesn't know what's at the end.
Right. Okay.
And they go back in a circle and nothing happens until Agatha says, "Well, we're going to go again." And then Tara got to blood, and they are in
Right.
a brand new trial.
Right. Now, do you think he made that happen or did Agatha make that happen?
Kind of both,
Yeah.
in that Agatha by this point knows who Billy is and how his powers work
Right.
because she told him, you're just
Just
like your
like your
mother.
mother. Yeah.
Yes. So she reasons that if I get to the end of the road, I get power,
Right.
real power, because that is how Billy thinks the
Right.
road works.
Right.
So yeah, so she says, okay, if I can get him there, we all get power. And if you think about it, everyone, even the ones who died, got what they wanted from the road. Alice
Right.
got free from the course. And
Yeah.
like they told her, she's a protection witch and she died protecting people.
Right. Yeah.
Lilia got a hold of her power and got to confirm death, which is what she really wanted.
Right.
And
Oh,
Jennifer,
that was probably my favorite episode of all of them. That was just so
me,
baller. Yeah.
yes, also is Patty LuPone.
Yeah, but I mean that the whole thing, the way that trial worked was just so stylish.
He was so smart too.
Yeah, well, the person falling on the tower card, the fact they kept
Yes,
going back to that, that was great.
it's one of those shows that you're going to rewatch, and you're going to go like the Leo DiCaprio meme, like pointing at
Right,
the screen.
pointing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
better rewatch.
yeah.
Uh,
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Jennifer eventually gets unbound, so she
Yes.
got what she wanted from the road. Uh, Billy gets what he wants and he leaves. And as far as he knew, that's what happened. And Agatha, in the way that magic works in shows, get what she needed, even if it's not what she wanted.
Right. She's got a young man to mentor
Yes.
who is screwed up enough that she can't screw him up too badly.
And like Nicholas,
Yeah,
he knows she's not a good person,
right.
but he doesn't reject her for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice segue into the whole Agatha is really a terrible person
Oh my God, she's awful.
discussion. She's awful, but I mean, I think it's supposed to be the Middle Ages.
Yes.
People didn't have a lot of choices back then.
Well, it's
And
the 1500s, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, well, right when the whole any woman with any sort of power or skill was branded a witch, because, that's fine and reasonable. Uh,
Yes.
they they really did dig deep about the whole idea of the witch trials and what they were really about. And they were really about power. Any woman
Yes.
who was a threat to the status quo got branded a witch, and they took her stuff and often her life. So,
To remove her and to share as an example for others.
yeah, to basically what we'd call eminent domain now, they just,
Yes.
well, you've got stuff. We want stuff. Shortest distance between 2 points. We're just going to take your stuff. That's the way things rolled in feudal, wherever the hell they were supposed to be. Something approximating England.
New
Uh,
Salem.
oh, right, it was Salem. Well, it wouldn't have been
Yes.
that early then, but okay, so that would have been all right. But still, it was sort of we all know she was playing a game with a deck stacked against her, which
From the beginning.
yeah, which I think instead of her just being shitty to advance the plot, you understand why she's so cynical, right? You understand why she kills. It's all she's known.
Yeah, that is actually the best way to put it. Agatha is an awful person.
Yeah,
No discussion.
yeah,
You don't condone what she does,
right,
but you understand
right.
why she does.
Yeah. I mean, it's either that or that's why I said she's a survivor. It's either do what she does or lay down and die.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Agatha is such a they did the show and it's about witches and a gay boy and comics, but it's also about it's the most feminist show that is also a critique of feminism
Yeah,
that I've seen.
that's a good
uh
point.
yes, because they portrayed Asian American family responsibility burden with Alice Wu. They portrayed responsibility of confronting death with
Yeah.
Lilia Calderu. They confront white woman feminism and white women being happy to join the patriarchy to keep a black
Mm-hmm.
woman down just so they can be a step up on the shit ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And they confirm how sometimes the worst enemy of women
Is other
is
women.
it's other women.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to Agatha, did it to all of them. It happened to Agatha too in the
Yeah.
form of her mother and her first coven turning on her because she basically had a power that neither of them could comprehend and it scared them. So
Mm-hmm.
they decided to kill her. And it turns out that they attacked her and her power was to absorb theirs and they died.
Right. And did you get the sense they have to attack her for it to work, which is why she was provoking them during the
Uh,
ritual?
During the ritual, she knew.
Oh,
I
she knew, but like, why not just take it? Why have to provoke them into a confrontation?
oh they have to attack her. It's half
Okay,
the
yeah.
power.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. That's what I thought you were supposed to
which
get from it.
she discovers by having her family and her coven trying to kill her.
Right, right. I mean, she's created. She's the way they approached her being, and in the comic she goes back and forth, right? She's sort of
Yes.
always just out for herself, and they kept that. But they approach her being not a great person in a way I had hoped to see them do with Loki in his
Right.
series, and they
Yes.
didn't. And the whole
Uh,
time I was like, this is what I wanted from that show. They finally figured it out.
yes, like kudos to Marvel and Disney because they did a redemption arc in which she wasn't really redempted, but she was validated in the awful stuff she does.
Yeah, and I think that they that's again why you need that last episode. Because
Yes.
the last episode, otherwise it's all sort of a pointless show where people are going, what what the hell just did I just watch? It's mind bendy and esoteric and Twin Peaksy, and that's all great. But the last episode, retroact, they normally put that at the beginning. So you'd know why you were rooting for her the whole time. Instead, they show it at the end, which I thought was gutsy and quite cool.
Yeah, me too. And of course you have to put it at the end if you want to keep, the mystery of it was Billy who made the witch's road. Otherwise, you spoiled from the beginning. But
Yeah,
still, it was to show that yes, Billy did it, but really it was because
it,
Agatha primed him to do it.
it was Agatha All Along. The title actually
Yes,
makes sense for a change in a Disney series.
yes. I like that. I like that they did that. I like that uh, they showed that she didn't become evil and bitter because oh her boy died. No, she
Right,
was doing it that before her son was born. She was so insistent and
right,
begged Ted to keep her son because up until that moment she has no one.
right,
The only family she had before tried to kill her when they didn't understand and feel
right,
her power.
right,
And she finally has a son. The son is going to die, so she does what every mother would do, beg for more time.
right.
Uh, and when the day when his sons tell her, please, let's not kill any more
Mm-hmm.
witches today. We will
Mm-hmm.
kill more witches tomorrow. The very next morning, he's dead.
Right.
And she's been along ever since. So yes, she is awful. She was awful before that, but kudos to Marvel and Disney for not making she's awful because she lost her soul. No, she's awful because she has nothing in life and she had
Right.
this little small kernel of goodness,
Right.
and that too was taken away from her. She says this on the grave of Nicholas, here I bury my heart with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until she meets Billy, who is a strange boy,
Yeah.
strange for Wanda, that he reminds her of Nicholas.
Yeah. And it is I do like that it was an origin story for all the death. It wasn't an origin story for her as a character.
Yes.
Yeah, she was always a well, chaotic good at best,
Yeah,
right?
she's the witch that the war made.
Yeah, I mean, she was doing the best she could with what she had. Obviously, she was into some shady stuff. Her line about where Nicholas came from, about what was it? I did this all by myself,
I made you
or
from scratch.
I made you from scratch. That's
Yes.
right. What do you make of that line?
Uh, I assume she made it with magic. Apparently, the writer have seen confirmed that in the early draft they consider having Rio being the other mom slash dad slash parent.
Right.
Apparently, it got canned. I don't think now that they've told the fans, I think that it's going to become the canon idea.
Well, I guess the acolyte beat them to it or something like that. I don't
Yes.
know. It that there was definitely strong hints that Rio was somehow involved in Nicholas's existence.
And it makes sense. She's dead. She's the original Queen Witch.
Right.
She bestows lives, she takes lives away. So maybe she's the other mom. Who knows? I'm going off the what the show said
Right.
in canon that she made him probably with magic.
Right. And I don't mind that it's ambivalent. People can think what they want about it.
Yeah, it's a witchy show. It's made to, have theories and go
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah. And not everything. I know there are some people that like absolutely everything explained, but I'm more I can use my imagination, thanks, I prefer it this way kind
Yeah,
of
me too.
viewer. Yeah, I
But
don't
also it's comics. It's comics now for movies. There's sort of always going to be room for interpretation. And even the stuff that is like, explicitly said they are only true until the next shows comes along, and then it changed.